Okay, so what I'm going to ask that you come on and give me some thumbs up, give me a heart to let me know that you are here. A yellow heart will let me know that you are right here with me. All right, for those of you that know me, you know how to rock with me. You know I am your transformational life coach, speaker, author, master retreat leader. Okay, I specialize in eradication of generational trauma. All right. In addition to that, I am the founder of the Repair of the Black Family, and my focus also is to help women heal on purpose. All right, so as you all come in today, I want you to definitely make sure that you take notes, okay? Because I'm going to offer you some things that I truly believe that you can apply in your life. In addition to that, as you're listening to this message and you see something or you hear something that resonate with you, go ahead and make a comment in the chat, and I will highly suggest that you help somebody because sharing is caring. You help somebody by sharing this video. All right, so let's talk about it. First and foremost, today is Thursday. I really love Thursdays, right? Because there's a saying, throwback throw Thursday. So we're gonna throw back into some of our fears and see how we can move forward through them. Now, I wanted to have this conversation with us today because, as a coach, I come across a lot of different things with a lot of different people, and including myself. One of the things that I really noticed that is a common thread amongst people is fear. It can be fear of different things. And what I come to find is that people don't know how to identify their fears and what to do with their fears. Okay, most people, especially the type of people that I help. So if this message is resonating with you, that maybe you have some fears or you don't know how to identify your fears, or and if you know your fears, you don't know what to do with your fears, then this particular video is going to help you today. Now, when we talk about fears, I truly believe that there's categories to this thing, right? There's categories when you're looking at fear. Some people may fear family, some people may fear their jobs, that some people may fear relationships. Some people may fear business, right? Some people may fear their own abilities. However, I truly believe that there's categories when it comes to fear. And so as I started to reflect, as I started to, look at how I help people, I put in perspective what are the foremost categories that resonate with me as a coach, and how I serve people to be able to help them identify and confront these fears. Okay. Thank you so very much. I'm doing very well. Thank you for tuning in and tapping in with me today. Okay. Number one, most people, especially in the type of work that I do, they fear failure. Let me know if this resonates with you. Fear of failure is a point where people actually, they stop things before they even begin. They have ideas, they have desires, they have situations that they want to be in, they have relationships, or they may want to invest in themselves. They want to do something big, or and they're not just they're contemplating, they're in it and they can't move forward because of fear of failure. They don't know how to move forward. They are afraid of what other people are going to think. They have a worry. So it stops them before they even begin. Or and they'll look at it and say, you know what? All of these thoughts and questions in their mind. I don't know if I can really do that. This, that, and the other. Thank you so very much. So people fear, they fear failure. And before they get started, they already stop because they have all of these thoughts going on in their minds, not as much as about themselves, but mainly from my experience of what other people are going to think. What if I don't make it? All of that self doubt, self criticism, they are facing a lot within their own mind. So they fear failure. Fear failure, fear of failure. You let me know if this is resonating with you. So when people fear failure, they put a pause on it. I can't do that. And no matter what you say, no matter what you say, especially if you're talking to yourself, you will talk yourself out of your blessing. No matter what you do, no matter how you see the vision, no matter how you know that it's going to work for you, if you fear failure, you will talk yourself out of the blessing. So the one thing that I come to find when people fear failure is they have to really identify what is it that you fear in the failure. What part of the process that you're in that you actually fear that you're not going to make it? And then write that down. Once you identify things, now you become a conqueror of that. Now you become more than a conqueror. Because knowing is half the battle. And once you know, then and only then you can deal with that which you know. It's the unknown that keeps us stuck. So when you feel failure, look at it and say, you know what is this that's keeping me from moving forward, right? Why are you stuck in this situation instead of pushing through? So fear of failure. Okay, it says this message is held for review. I don't know what that is. Okay, good. All right. So second category that I come to find that most people are, when it comes to fear, that they have a challenge with, or, that second category as a coach. What is the second category? Hey, how you doing? What is the second category that I find that people find themselves in as it relates to fear? Rejection. People fear rejection, not being able to be accepted by their family members, their peers, their community, their relationships, right? Their jobs. If they're in business, not being accepted by their customers. People fear rejection. And so when a person fear rejection, what I've come to find, and I've been there too, right? Is the inability to express your truth. When people fear rejection, guess what? They get a closed mouth. You ever heard a closed mouth don't get that? People stop talking. They do not express their truth. They don't speak from their own voice. They put up and set boundaries when they fear rejection. It keeps a person from leading in their own lives because they are afraid of what people are going to say, what people are going to do, what people are going to think, how they're going to act towards them. This is the second category of fear that I have found that most people deal with. But where there's a way out of all of these situations. People feel hurt when they feel rejected. Listen, rejection does hurt. Have you ever tried to, you know, do something or be with somebody or, find yourself doing something and then guess what? You are rejected. That process hurts. Okay? So people don't move forward because they don't want to be hurt. And the best way to get through that is to push through. And once you can know, okay, like sometimes you got to have those positive self talk. Okay, yes, I may be rejected, but I'm going to carry on. I may be rejected, but I'm going to get through. I may be rejected, but guess what? I don't care because this is me. And then show up as yourself, show up using your voice, show up with your healthy boundaries, show up knowing that you too can go through this. And know that, give yourself permission to know that it's okay to be rejected. Once you, from my experience, once you experience that it's okay, now when it happens, you don't crumble, you don't fall, you don't back down, you don't sit down, you keep moving forward. So you have to prepare yourself for rejection and make sure that in the rejection that you're not rejecting yourself. Who is this message for today? Let me know. Okay, go ahead and drop some yellow hearts and let me know that you are here with me. Okay, another area of life. Now, just keep in mind, we went from fear to failure, fear of rejection, real talk. Okay, stopping ourselves, feeling hurt, to fear of the unknown. Ooh-wee. message for today. See, when you don't know a thing, it can make you, walk or be or act in trepidation. But the biggest thing is being able to know that in the unknown you become known. Because you put yourself in uncharted territories. You put yourself in unfamiliar situations. You put yourself in a position to be known in that particular situation. And that takes courage. That takes will. That takes strength. That takes ability. That takes another level of decision making. To go into unknown situations, unknown charted territories, and push yourself through to be able to be uncomfortable. People fear being uncomfortable. People fear change. So anytime that you are in a situation that you fear the unknown, is it possible that the unknown is going to bring about a change that you are not aware of and you're not prepared for? But if you can just place yourself in the situation in your mind first, then I'm willing to change, and I'm willing to be stretched. I'm willing to go in unknown charted territories of my own abilities, of my own strengths, my own weakness. I'm willing to go there with me. Fear of the unknown. So people stop themselves because I don't know about this, so I don't want to do it. No, you have to educate yourself in the unknown. You have to enlighten yourself in the unknown. You got to be willing to go through something in the unknown for to experience the change or the uncomfortability that's going to produce growth. Fear restricts. That's the message here. So the third category is fear of the unknown. And when you don't know something, it becomes restrictive if you don't have the courage to break through. Who is this message for today? You got to be willing to break through. You got to be willing to learn something new, and not just about the external things. You got to be willing to learn something new about yourself, the strengths, the weaknesses of self. And this is what will help you to develop the press on, the press through, how I'm going to get through, how I'm going to get over in the unknown. It takes courage. So the third category is the fear of the unknown. The second category is and was fear of rejection. The first one is fear of failure. So once you identify these areas of life, once you are able to see, be, do, and have, now you become, who is this message for? More than a conqueror. It's not about having the fears, it's how you face your fears. But in order to face it, you got to identify and be truthful and be honest and be authentic in your fears to say, you know what? Yeah, I fear this. Allow it. Sometimes we don't allow things to come up in us. Allow it to come up so you can confront it. That's the number one, the number one solution to the process is the ability to confront, the ability to face it, the ability to have the willingness to go through this process of fear. And once you accept it and you go through it and you face it, it no longer becomes a fear. When you challenge your fears, it's no longer a fear because you've conquered it. You've gone through it, and write this down. You have experienced it. Most people are not willing to experience their fears. So be willing to experience your fear. Let me tell you a story. Real talk. My mother never learned how to swim. I never learned how to swim. Okay. My fears for swimming was not created by me. It was created by my mother because she was afraid of water. So she, as her first child, didn't allow me to go by water. She put a lot of fear in me. So as I got older, I always wanted to learn how to swim, but I never learned how to swim on that level because like swim, like most people I know how to do, not do enough to save my life, but I'm not a real swimmer, right? Because of the passed down fear. That's the point. It was passed down to me. So I had to conquer not only my mother's fear, my fear had to conquer my mother's fear to even take swimming lessons. Okay? But the truth is I was able to identify where my fear came from and then pursue myself in the fear and overcome the fear to learn a skill to get over and through that fear. So all of your fears is not your fears. Your fears can actually be passed down on a cellular level, generational thoughts, somebody else's considerations about the fear that you are experiencing. But once you identify, now you can separate it and then face it and conquer it. But that takes work. That takes skill. That takes know-how. Thank you so much for the stars. I appreciate that. So back to the fear of unknown. Back to being uncomfortable. Back to be willing to grow. And in the process, right? You have your fear of failure, you have your fear of rejection, you have your fear of the unknown. But guess what? Woo, this is the one. This right here, for those of you that's listening now, and for those of you that will listen on the replay, this is the one. This one, this last one, the fear of success. People, what I have come to find in my own life or in coaching people, that people fear success because it requires responsibility. Success requires visibility. And people that's successful or fear success, maybe they're not acquainted with being visible. They're not acquainted with new levels of responsibility. So they fear the success of being successful. And sometimes when people can't have their own success, they can't allow you to have success. So some of your fears of success may be because somebody talked you out of being successful because they couldn't have success. So it's passed down to you or it's talked into you. But when you identify that you have a fear of success, now you can separate yourself, find out where that fear comes from, and confront and handle it. People that fear of success will get to a certain plateau. Watch this. They'll get to a certain plateau and find a way to self-sabotage. Because they're not ready to experience that new version of themselves. If you can relate to this, let me know. Okay? Fear of success. Fear of success. Your fears can be your prison that's going to keep you stuck. Or your fears is going to be the door to push you forward. What separates? What is the bottom? What's the basic line in handling and confronting any and all fears? It's the new profound ability to make a new decision about the fear. And once I'm able to make a new profound decision about the fear, now I can choose to act upon the new decision. Because we understand and we know faith without works is dead. Y'all let me know and write a comment in there and let me know how this is resonating with you. And so making a new decision requires, especially if you fall yourself or find yourself in any one of these categories, or you know someone that's in any one of these 4 categories that I just identified. Okay. A new decision requires, listen, watch the word. It requires a new mindset. And so if you have been stuck in certain mindsets, you have been stuck in certain fears, or you have experienced and you haven't, maneuvered through it, it's only because you lack the knowledge or in the ability to move through it. So don't try to do it by yourself no longer, because at that point we become stuck in the suffering, which basically boils down to unintelligent thinking, right? Making poor decisions. Don't become stuck. Get a mentor, get a coach, read a book, watch a YouTube, go to a podcast. You get where I'm going here. Find yourself on higher grounds, which will raise a new level of thought about the fear that will help you to develop the courage and the ability to conquer that fear. Because your fears are either going to be the prisons or the doors that's going to open up a new world. And so education, enlightenment, experiences, change of environments, change of people, change of circumstances, confronting, facing it, dealing with it, challenge yourself, right? I like this word. This is the word that I really, really love the most, right? When I'm dealing with certain things, okay, I'm willing to be stretched in this situation. And you got to also be willing to know that it's okay not to be. It's okay not to be afraid. Right? It's okay. It's okay to say, this is a new level. This is a new version of myself, especially when it comes to fear of success. You got to be willing to accept the new you. And sometimes you gotta write it down. You gotta tell yourself, I am a new person. I have a new way of thinking, because the old, you can't put new wine on top of old wine skin. You got to be willing to crush the old for the new to emerge and come out. So when you find yourself in fear, when you find yourself not moving forward, when you find yourself, shrinking because somebody else can't accept you, or, you're feeling rejected in the situation, you find yourself in unknown situations, unknown territories, and you feel like you got to shrink in the room, or you got to shrink in the presence of somebody else's greatness. Fortify yourself. That's when you get courage. And at the bottom of courage, it means heart. That's when you get heart about the situation. You open up love for yourself, right? To conquer fear requires love, because that's the opposite of it. You have to develop more love for yourself in your process. And then hold yourself accountable and hold others accountable around you. And realize this, that in the process, that you are the game changer. You are the wave maker. You are the one to be able to push this thing forward or stay stuck in the situation. But it's all on you. Nobody can do it for you. My mother really ingrained in her children, why wait for somebody to do something for you if what you could do for yourself? Now, I'm not saying that you got to take that on. However, I do find that it's a good old, what they call it? Mother wit. Okay? Don't wait for somebody to do something for you, which you can have the strength, the courage, and the ability to do it for yourself. You just have to watch this, develop yourself. So if it's your relationship, if it's your business, if it's your finances, if it's, no matter what, if it's just you being a new person with yourself, be willing to accept a new version of yourself. Be willing to develop yourself. It takes character to have courage. Write that down. It takes character. The better you can build your character and say no to some things, say no to some people, say no to your bad habits, say no to the things that's not developing, the people that's not developing you, the environments that's not developing you, no to the words that you speak over yourself. Say no. And yes, you got to say no and yes. You got to know when to say no and when to say yes. And most times that take a little bit more development. And then don't be like the donkey in the Bible that have all this knowledge on your back, but don't use the knowledge. Because sometimes we could find ourselves getting a lot of knowledge and acquiring a lot of knowledge, right? But we're not applying the knowledge. And in the process of conquering fear, the last thing that I'm going to say, this is some of my upbringing. My daddy used to say this all the time. May God be pleased with him. Stand for something or fall for anything. You have to become, I'm not saying that you are not, right? I'm not accusing anybody of not. What I'm saying is be a principled person in your process. What are your principles? What are your principles in the process? What do you can stand for and what do you not? And don't bend on righteous principles. When you are operating from the state of godhood, when you're operating from righteousness, when you're operating from those aspects of higher levels of awareness that's going to lead you into the kingdom of God, that's going to lead you to being a principled person, don't bend on righteous principles. That's how you're able to conquer fear, because sometimes what I've come to find, people will lower their standards to conquer their fears. Okay, well, I'm just going to do this just, no, no. You got to be, do, and have according to God's will. You have to know his will for you as well as your will for you. And then make sure that that will is in alignment. God's will, your will. God's will, your will. God's will, your will. And regardless to whom or what, as long as you are in alignment with God's will, as long as you put forth the courage, the faith, the strength, the discipline, it takes discipline to conquer fear. The more you can develop discipline and have consistency in your discipline, you can conquer fear of failure. You and I can conquer fear of rejection. You and I can move through the fear of unknown. And last but not least, and certainly, you can conquer fear of success and hold your position, hold your ability, hold your knowingness when you get to that level of your next self, the new version of yourself, that level of success, however you define success for you. You can hold that and you become unshakable. And so no matter what comes your way, no matter how things show up, no matter what is said, I've conquered my fears. Y'all let me know how this has resonated with you. It took me quite some time to be able to develop certain levels of courage, certain levels of I'm not going to bend, I'm not going to break because of how other people think and feel. I'm not, or they're not going to accept me, or they're not going to like me. It took me a long time to get to this space. But I can tell you here in this space that I found peace. In this space, I'm willing to go through the hell, the tarnation, whatever that looks like for other people, for me to have my peace, for me to have my levels of growth, all of the work that I put in for myself. I'm willing to go through what I need to do to be able to maintain the new levels of courage that I've developed for myself, which is character. And so I just offer that to you today. I hope that this message has served somebody today that is going to take a new level of decision making to conquer fears. It takes a new levels, not saying that you haven't had it before, but it's a new requirement of love for yourself. And as long as you know you're not coming from a toxic place, because people do come from toxic spaces, that your boundaries is not toxic, it's not coming from hurt, it's not coming from pain, but it's coming from sanity, then you can conquer your fears. And that takes work. So I encourage anyone out here today that's facing the process of fear. Is it real? Perception is your reality. Whatever you perceive to be, it is so. However, you can get through it. You can move through it. And so develop yourself. Whatever you fear, it controls you. So develop yourself to conquer those fears, whatever it is. And then celebrate the victory. Once you overcome a fear, celebrate yourself regardless of whom or what. Celebrate yourself. Because that which you validate, you get more of that. If you validate fear, you're going to attract more things to be afraid of. But if you validate your success, you validate your ability to overcome, you validate, it's okay to cheer you on. Somebody say that with me. It's okay to cheer me on. It's okay for me to say, girl, you did that. And be comfortable with it. Even when other people don't agree or like it. It's okay. Because that is a part of your healing journey. To validate yourself in ways that you have never had before. So if you fear something and you overcome it, validate it. So that's my message for us today. I hope and pray and thank y'all for the stars. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the comments. The best way we could do anything and all things is to be able to give a word, because in the beginning was the word, and then we make that word flesh. And so today I've used my voice to send forth a word for those who this message is for. That you are more than a conqueror. Your fear is going to either be your prison or your breakthrough. It's going to push you through or keep you stuck. But in the end, and at the beginning too, it's up to you. Nothing changes if you don't. Your breakthroughs come with new decisions. And so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm going to stay in the process of developing me. And I came on today to encourage somebody, develop yourself to conquer your fears. And that takes courage. Thank y'all so much for listening. I love y'all for real. Okay. If you want more coaching, more conversations, and you want to stay connected to Coach Naira, I highly suggest that you subscribe to my website at www.repairoftheblackfamily.com. Subscribe to my website. Stay connected and let's continue to grow together. Remember, you are more than a conqueror. Peace.